What's going on, everybody? Mike McIntyre here, back from All Things Sports. I am so happy to see you all here today. Make sure you're staying safe. This is a very different time than what we're all used to, I'm sure. So I don't have too many boot reviews just because boots have been delayed. All kinds of things are going on that no one really knows when it's going to end or how it's going to end or anything like that. So just keep doing what you're doing. Stay positive. We're all in this together and we will get through it. But in the meantime, I have a very special video for you today. It's something I've been thinking about doing for a very long time, and so I'm going to show it to you today. So let's get into this. I've been thinking about doing a video about my entire football boot collection for a very long time. Now, I started really collecting my very own football boots about 10 years ago. I had a lot of boots before that. I just never really kept them. I was like anybody else. Once I went through them, I got rid of them. They weren't good anymore. They were ripped, they were torn up, whatever it was, so I just didn't really keep them. But then when I got to about 18 or so years old, I really just wanted to keep them. Even a little younger, maybe I was 17. I just wanted to keep them. I wanted to keep a collection of all the boots that I had worn. So when I was about 17 or 18, I started keeping all of my football boots. So I still have almost all of them. There are a few pairs here and there that I couldn't keep for whatever reason. I had to send them back, get money back, whatever it was. My Magistas, the first gen Magistas, are a perfect example. There were a bunch of Predators before 2009, I believe, that I had that I just didn't keep. I kept one or two, but I had a bunch of Preds and F50s and things like that before 2009 that I didn't keep. But I will show you every boot that I've kept since 2009, and keep in mind, these are my very own boots. So these are boots that I've worn. They're destroyed, they're dirty. You will see that they are very beat up. I used every single pair that I will show you today. Some of the boots that I've done on my channel, the reviews that I've done, they're not my boots. I'm using them to show you guys what the boot is, and then I send them back. They're not my very own pair. So keep in mind that this video is every single boot that I've worn and kept since 2009. So this is gonna be a big one. Let's get into it. This is my entire, like I said before, my entire football boot collection. I'll just kind of take you guys through it, show you guys what I have, maybe talk about a couple of boots that I can remember off the top of my head that I don't have, but this is pretty much it. Now, you probably recognize a few right off the bat. I've done a review on pretty much every boot that you see right here. I tried to kind of go in order, more or less, you know, in terms of year from oldest to newest. So other than the three boots at the back, okay, other than the three back there, I kind of went from oldest to newest in this direction, so left to right. And I guess as you make your way from, again, forget the top three boots, but as you make your way from that last row down to the front one over here, they get, you know, newer as we go. So let's start with, I'll kind of go in order. I'll take you guys through them. So over here, that boot right there, that is a Nike Tiempo Legend, okay? That is the first generation Tiempo Legend. It was a very good boot, made from K-leather, has the little Velcro underneath the tongue for it to just sort of stick down on top of the laces. And I wore those back in 2006, actually. So that's one of the oldest pairs that I have, or even 2005. I think the boot launched in 2004, I had it 2005. Then I have one of my favorite boots of all time. This is the only pair that I have left. I had a couple pair of Predator Absolutes that came out in 2006. That was one of my favorite colorways. I also had the all-white David Beckham ones. Unfortunately, I didn't keep those, but I kept the blue ones. I had to keep those. They're destroyed, as you can see. The tongue, the leather, they're all ripped. And that is the Predator Absolute 2006. Then right there I have the Predator Power Swerves, and those are destroyed too. You can see that actually that the elastic right there on the right boot, if it focuses right there, the elastic's completely ripped off. You can see the leather in the front there, they're finished. So that is the Predator Power Swerve. Again, I think I had three pairs of those originally, 3 or 4 pairs. But I only kept one, obviously, the blue. I really liked blue and white boots. I still do, so kept those Predator Power Swerves. And then the next pair, from here on in, I've kept almost every single pair. This is the Predator X. Now, a lot of people didn't like the Predator X when these came out. These dropped in 2009, and they came out right after the Predator Power Swerves right there. Came out in 09, and they got rid of the tongue, right? The famous Predator tongue. That was the first generation boot to lose the tongue, and a lot of people were kind of upset with them for that. So I had the Predator X's. I didn't mind them. I could kind of tell that they were looking to go in a new direction from the Predator. It's been, you know, roughly 10 years that the Predator was power, tongue, leather, that kind of style right there, those two boots. And I think they decided that in order to keep up with the times, they had to refresh the Predator. And the Predator X was the first stepping stone in that direction. So I understand why people didn't like them, but I wasn't the biggest hater either. I could see why they were kind of going in that direction. So I actually have two pairs. I had the original colorway right there, and the Champions League edition ones right there. Those were cool. They're white and blue again with the Champions League graphic, the star design in the rubber elements, so Pred X's. Then I had, now I know this isn't necessarily in order, but I did have these around that time as well. This is the Nike Mercurial Vapor 5. So it was the second generation to have that tongue cover, and you can see on the left boot, actually right there on that one over there, you can see my finger kind of getting in the way. I cut the leather synthetic piece off because I had a hole in it. Someone stepped on it, cleat got stuck in the wrapping around the laces, so I just decided to cut the whole thing off. The one on the right, you can see that the synthetic covering is still intact. Those are destroyed. I like those boots, but I love the colorway. I still do white, black, and pink, but they were a very rough boot around the edges, put it that way. Then, again, another huge stepping stone, the Adidas Predator Adi Power right there. So I actually had two pairs of those in the exact same colorway. I had that white blue colorway right there. I had two pairs of those. The first one's ripped completely, so I sent them back, and I got a second pair. So that is the second pair right there. I loved the Predator Absolutes. The Predator Adi Powers. These were fantastic. Again, another stepping stone in this new era of Predator. Super light. A little less leather than on traditional Predators, but these were fantastic. Very light, super comfortable. I really liked the lacing system. I loved the no tongue, and I loved how light the boot became because of the Adidas speed frame design that they put on them. The only complaint I had about those Adi Powers was the sole plate. They were all bladed studs, so I tended to slip a little bit more, but they fixed that coming over to the next pair of Predators. I actually have two. I'll get to those in a second. Right there, those are the Adidas F50 Adi Zeros. Those are the second generation ones, and they are probably the most famous and most beloved Adi Zeros that ever came out. Those were the messy colorway. He debuted those in the 2011 Champions League final. Like I said, fantastic boots, super light. Again, they addressed the kind of stud issue I had on the Adi Power Predators. They were more of that triangular shape, and I absolutely love those boots, super light. And then we came to the first Lethal Zones Adidas Predator. Now these, I loved these. These were fantastic. Again, they received a lot of criticism because they did not have leather, but they had this hybrid touch material for the first time, so it was a combination of leather and synthetic, and I absolutely loved the Predator Lethal Zones. I think they were a fantastic boot. Control frame on the bottom, or based on the speed frame design I should say, with the triangular studs, tons of traction. I absolutely love those, and obviously I got a second pair right there. Those are the kind of gold color that they call them, but they're really like this sunburst burnt kind of orange color. They're not really gold, but they look pretty good. And then, to be honest, these were very much overlooked. That is the Lethal Zone 2, and these are one of my favorite Predators I've ever worn, alongside the Predator Absolute, which I told you about right over there. I love those ones in 2006. The Predator LZ2, again, very overlooked by a lot of people, but I actually think that they improved the fit on that one compared to the first generation Lethal Zone. So I personally loved the Predator Lethal Zone 2s, and to be honest, I still pull those out every now and then. And then after that, we came to the Predator Instincts. Right there, I have two pairs. That was the first pair that I got, and then I had the second ones. What can I say about the the Instincts? They were the last of the Predator until they changed it for the Ace in 2015. I like them, the Predator Instincts. They got a lot heavier. They kind of built some bulk on them compared to the previous Predator LZ2 right there. So the Instincts got a little beefier. I like them. Not much more to say than that. They were good. I like the boot, but they weren't my all-time favorite. Put it that way. They're a forgettable Predator in many ways. In some ways, they needed to be made so that Adidas could move away from the Predator to come up with the Ace and then go back to the Predator in order to get that hype back, because I think the Predator is a great boot once again in 2020. Around the same time that I had the Lethal Zone 2s, I had the first generation of the Adidas Nitro Charge. Now the Nitro Charge was an interesting boot. It was the debut of a fourth silo for Adidas at the time. It only lasted 2 generations, and the second generation, in all honesty, was very forgettable, and honestly, they probably should not have even come out with the Nitro Charge 2s. But the first gen was a little bit more interesting. It was this idea of energy saving kind of boot, and it was really weird, but it was an interesting boot. It fit really well overall. They actually tried to create some padding elements right there. You can see these little pads on the big toe to give you a bit more protection. It had this unique kind of mesh in the back, again made out of hybrid touch in the front, and then you had that energy sling kind of thing wrapping that yellow strip right there. It was an interesting boot. I liked the way it fit, but they couldn't go anywhere with it. Adidas came out with it, and marketing wise and selling wise, they ran out of steam. They didn't really know how to sell the boot, so they got rid of it relatively quickly. Now, if I keep moving on, I do not have my Adidas Ace from 2015. I have those. I have the launch colorway, the black and yellow. They are not at my house, so I can't show you them. They're at my workplace for now, so I can't show you them in this video, but I do have the Adidas Ace. So then we come to the Adidas Ace in 2016, and I have, actually these are 2017, sorry, this is 2016. So the Pure Control 16 Plus right there. Those came out after 2015, so I did get those. That's the launch colorway. The first mass marketed laceless boot from Adidas was the Adidas Pure Control. I wore those for an entire season in full, and I actually really liked them. They did a good job of locking your foot in place for the first laceless boot ever, but as you wore them, they kind of loosened up, and they got looser and looser in the lace area over here, the sort of prime knit area where the laces would normally be, really stretched out. So by the end of their lifespan, the lockdown was pretty poor at the end. So the next year they came out with the next gen of the Adidas Ace. So this is 2017 now. So I have the Pure Control 2s right here. I have the 17.1 and the 17.1 leather. So the leather ones, I liked them. A little bit more of a traditional fit. The first time Adidas went back to a leather boot in a long time since the Adi Power right there. They didn't have a leather boot in this Predator / Ace family, so that's the first time they released them in a long time. Roughly 7 years actually. So those were cool, but they just didn't hold up. I did a video on these before comparing them to my Mizunos, and the leather is completely destroyed. If you look down here, I did a video about this. The seam right there is completely destroyed. So those didn't last very long. These were definitely the best performing of the 3 compared to the leather, the 17.1 and the Pure Control. Those are definitely the best performing, this Ace 17.1s. Prime knit, they fit really well. They have a unique feel to them. The laces can lock them in. So those are definitely the best performing. But honestly, one of my favorites was this Pure Control. I love the colorway, and the lockdown in these is second to none. They really improve the lockdown compared to the first generation Pure Control, which you can see on the left. So these Pure Control 17 Pluses were fantastic. I'm a big fan. I still wear those boots. Now, going back a couple years, I think these came out in 2013, these came out. This is the Hypervenom Phantom, the original first generation. In many people's eyes, the best boot that the Hypervenom Phantom ever released from the silo, but they were notorious for breaking down. And even in my pair, I have a hole. You can see that little black spot right there. That's a hole in the big toe. They ripped right down there. You can see that seam right there. That completely ripped. But a very unique feeling boot. It was definitely a very interesting upper. The Nike Skin upper, very popular with a lot of people. They just broke down. They were not very durable, and it's unfortunate because they were a good looking boot, good performing boot overall. They just didn't hold up. So that is the Hypervenom Phantom. And then we come down to the Puma Evo Power. So the Evo Powers were a very popular boot. I liked the first generation, but I didn't get my hands on them. I did get my hands on these, the Puma Evo Power 2s. Now these were really cool. I actually had 2 pairs of them, and this is where Puma was really good. I destroyed these. They used to be white. They're basically gray now. And I was playing with them in one game back in 2016 or so. I think it was 2016. And I got stepped on. Someone's cleat got stuck in the laces, and as they stepped away and I stepped away in the other direction, it actually ripped the laces, and it completely ripped the inside of the boot. Which one was it? Was it this one? No, it was on this one. So you can see right here that when they stepped away and they ripped the laces, they actually ripped the lace hole. So that little square there is a piece of leather that I had a shoemaker stitch on to re-sew that lace loop right there, the eyelet, because it completely ripped away. So it wasn't a big deal, but I contacted Puma about it, and they were fantastic, and they sent me these to replace those. They didn't require me to send those ones back, so I fixed them with a shoemaker. I spent 10 bucks on a little piece of leather to repair the eyelets, threw in a new pair of laces, and I got these boots out of them. So I had a second pair of the Evo Power 2s. They were really, really good. I liked them. A couple of issues with fit overall. They weren't the softest overall, but they were a good boot. And then they actually had an Evo Power 3, and then the Evo Power 4, which was known as the Evo Power Vigors, came out, and these are fantastic. One of my favorite boots I've ever worn, definitely up at the top. The only issue with them was I broke the stud. Where is it? Right there. Look at that. I have a hole in the stud. I completely lost the stud. It was broken, it ripped out. So I can't really wear those anymore because as I step, I can feel it in my heel. It's all off balance. But I absolutely love those Puma Evo Powers. And then coming over here, I have the Puma 1 5.1. I do like these. Not my favorite. They're a funny fit. They're soft and really light. I like the leather. But I definitely think that this mesh material should have ended back here instead of coming up towards the toe box area. If they would have cut this off about here, it would have been a better fitting boot. So that is the Puma Evo Power, sorry, the Puma 1 5.1. And then one of my favorites of 2020, Puma Future 5.1. These are fantastic. This boot alongside these Puma Evo Power Vigors are definitely one of my favorites I've ever worn. Love those boots. They're very good. Those are what I'm currently wearing for the most part. Puma Evo Power 5.1s, sorry, Puma Future 5.1s. I absolutely love those. And then last but not least, let's go back to the back row because I did not talk about those yet. Let's save those two for last. Those are the David Beckham inspired Adidas Predator Precisions. Now those are very, very cool. I got those simply because I was too young when they originally released, and I absolutely love the colorway. They are a classic, one of the best Predator re-releases of all time in my opinion, alongside some of the recent Manias that they've done. So I absolutely had to get my hands on those. And last but not least, you guys probably know what I'm going to say with those. The best boot of all time. So I have two pairs of them. They are what I currently wear. The blue ones are the original Mizuno Morelia Neo 2s that I owned, the first pair that I've ever owned. I destroyed them and they're still in good shape. They're still very, very wearable. The only issue is that I'm starting to wear away the material on the inside of the boot, so they're getting really rough in the sock liner, and I've worn them for over 2.5 years straight. So just to give you an idea of how long those things have lasted, over 2.5 years of constant wear. And you can see I've done a video about them. They're still in decent shape for as much as I've worn them. Because they're starting to wear away, I have pair number 2 right there. So those I haven't worn as much yet because the first ones lasted me so long and I wanted to save the gold ones. The gold ones are incredible. Absolutely love them. These are my favorite boot of all time. Mizuno Morelia Neo 2s. These are the best boots that you could possibly buy in my opinion. The most premium kangaroo leather in the forefoot, but super responsive and very comfortable overall, and they still give you that lockdown. Conical studs, super light. They're the best boots that you could possibly buy in my opinion. My favorite of all time. I absolutely love them. So that is pretty much it. I've talked about every boot that you see down here on the floor. If you guys want to know or any questions, leave those down below in the comment section. I'm going to wrap the video up. I'll send it back to the desk and we can wrap this video up. So there you have it, guys. There is my entire football boot collection since 2009. Again, there are a few pairs in there that I've kept before that year, but every boot since 09 except for the Magista Obras are my very own boot, and I've kept them all. So I showed you them all here today. Please let me know what you guys think. Would you like to see more videos like this during this time as I'm waiting to get my hands on new boots? What would you like to see? Please drop a comment down below. If you enjoyed the video, please smash that like button, do whatever it is you gotta do. And of course, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell notification so you don't miss out on any brand new videos. Thank you for stopping by. I'm Mike McIntyre, all things sports, and I'll catch you in the next video. Till then, take care.